Hey, I'm meteorologist Doug Myers with the latest forecast on this Thursday. We had highs in the 90s everywhere across northeast Kansas, but we're about to see some major changes as we round out the work week with showers and thunderstorms at times, with rain heavy at times, and of course that could determine how warm it gets or how cool it stays. So generally we'll have a lot more 80s, but we still could have some 90s, especially today. We may be more uniform 80s for tomorrow, but it's still some uncertainty on if it's mid to upper 80s or low to mid 80s in some spots. It could have a wide range in temperatures for tomorrow just because of where it may end up raining for the majority of the time. But as I mentioned, heavy rain at times. In fact, a flood watch is in effect until tomorrow afternoon with the exception of north central Kansas. So be aware of this. Do not drive through flooded roadways. Very, very key. Now, there is some uncertainty on where the heavy rain is going to be, which we'll take a look at here in our computer models on where the heaviest of the rain is going to be. So that's why there's not one particular area of concern. It's pretty much widespread. So just be mindful of that. But as we go throughout the day today, we'll continue with an isolated chance this morning, if anything. Otherwise, I think the better chance of showers and thunderstorms start to develop, especially after 2 o'clock this afternoon. And we'll continue through really all the way through the rest of the work week and start at the early part of the weekend. So we will have that rain, at least somewhere in northeast Kansas. Does not mean it's going to be in your backyard every single hour of the entire time that will round out the work week, but it's going to be somewhere in northeast Kansas. You'll notice we might get a little bit of a break around midday tomorrow and then more redevelopment again later on in the afternoon. So it's very possible that if this model line ends up being right, we do get a couple hours of dry time tomorrow. Regardless, afternoon, evening. So very important to realize that even if it is cooler, and even if you want to spend some time outside, you have to be monitoring that threat for thunderstorms. Other than the flood threat and a very low risk for some strong winds on some of the stronger storms today or tonight, I'm not expecting any severe weather other than, of course, the flood threat and the lightning threat. Look at this. Areas around the Osage City, Council Grove area, 4 inches plus worth of rainfall. A little over 2.5 inches, almost 3 inches in Emporia. Lesser amounts farther to the north you go. There's a reason why flash flood watch is not in effect for north central Kansas, because of that dry area. For the rest, that only goes till about 1 a.m. on Friday night. But for the rest of Friday night and early Saturday morning, there may still be at least a little bit of rain. Now, the graph, our other short-term model, still indicates north central Kansas not getting as much rain. But our medium and long-range computer models do indicate some heavy rain up in north central Kansas. That's not in the flash flood watch. The GFS is almost the exception of very little rain south of I-70 and all the heavy rain north. I can probably throw that one out. I really don't think that that's going to be the one that ends up panning out. But it is going to be something we'll have to take on a day by, well, these next 2 days, but hour by hour basis, and keeping an eye on where that rain ends up developing. In fact, this is all due to a cold front. So it's also going to depend on where that front ends up being as we round out the work week on where the heaviest of the rain is going to end up being. But whatever we have, most of it should be gone by sunrise on Saturday, other than a few leftover clouds, maybe a lingering shower. Most of the weekend is going to be dry. And temperatures heating back up. Mid-90s Saturday, upper 90s to near 100 for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then here comes another frontal boundary pushing into the area. I don't think that we'll get quite as heavy rain with that, but it will definitely come with cooler temperatures, no doubt about that. So there's some uncertainty on how warm it's going to get these next 2 days because the air mass will still be mild. But if we have that cloud-covered rain, we're not able to warm up that much. The air mass will actually cool down for the second half of next work week, but especially Thursday and Friday, to where whether there's rain or not, it is definitely going to be in the 80s at most. I do not expect 90s, even if it's completely clear. So that's why we have that blue showing up there in that 8 to 14 day outlook. Hey, and we're in the green too, so that's some good news to begin August. But it still looks like we are in that drier than normal condition for that 3 to 4 week outlook. So please be mindful of the risk. I don't want to necessarily say cancel your outdoor plans because it's not going to be a widespread rain. Yes, we'll have fairly widespread rain for the majority of the area at some point in time to round out the work week, but it may end up being tonight. It may not necessarily be during the daytime hours today or tomorrow. So there's going to be a lot of dry time. So it's one of those cases where it just depends on what your activity or event is. Do you want to cancel it and all of a sudden it's dry during that time frame, you can't blame us as much as you want to. I'm saying right now, do not cancel the plan, but be ready. Be ready to cancel it if coming up an hour before the event you're set to go out to, or if you're in charge of an event, you have to cancel it. But it's just a little bit too far out to know without just monitoring the radar and where these storms will begin to develop throughout the day today and, of course, throughout the day tomorrow on how much impact it will have across northeast Kansas and where those showers and thunderstorms will be setting up. So just be aware of that. Otherwise, be ready for the heat over the weekend, and especially Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That's the 3-day stretch I'm most concerned about on the extreme heat in our area. Have a great day.